Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live event today. My name is Steffen Büffel. I'm based in Cologne, Germany. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're signing in from. I'd like to ask and invite you to join us here in our event, and feel free to share in the chat box, say hello, and let us know where you're signing in from today. In just a couple of minutes, Alberto Violo will join us, and he will talk about the energy medicine program later today. We will learn about the training, but we will also go into ceremony. We will open up sacred space and do a breathing exercise in just a couple of minutes. So we hope you enjoy our program today, and thank you so much for showing up. And Alberto, are you already with us?
Yes, hello, Stefan. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our program today and to an immersion. We're going to do a very quick but very deep immersion into the ancient healing practices, the energy medicine practices that were discovered by the wisdom keepers 5,000 years ago, actually even before, 50,000 years ago, because that's how far back the ancient medicine teachings go. Now, when you ask the old shamans in the Andes, which is where I trained, they tell you, 50,000 years. That was just the recent history. It goes back to before we came to the earth, when we were living in the stars. Now, today I want to share with you some of the practices and particularly the skills and the techniques that you will develop in the energy medicine training. But before we start, let's open sacred space. Let's call on the four directions. The ancient sages understood that the world was created with four different songs, that the alphabet of creation contained four letters. And that if you could become familiar with those letters in the alphabet, you could write exquisite poetry. You could co-create with spirit. Now, today, the physicists have identified that there are also four fundamental forces in the universe. And the biologists have found that all of the poetry of life is written with an alphabet that has only four letters. And those are the four letters of DNA. Now, the ancient shamans also understood that all of creation had four forces at play. And if you could learn to dance with these forces, you could become a co-creator. And these forces were called serpent, jaguar, hummingbird, and eagle or condor. But these were forces that you could summon. You could call them to you to bring order out of chaos, to bring healing. You could call on the spirit of the serpent to help you shed the past the way the serpent sheds her skin, or the spirit of the jaguar to help you navigate through a very difficult time in your life. The jaguar is invisible, can explore those dark and hidden places that everybody's afraid to go to, and is able to teach you the ways beyond death and beyond fear. Or you could perhaps call on the spirit of the hummingbird. You needed a new map in your life, and today we all need a new map in the world, and the hummingbird is the one that teaches that. Teaches us to grow on the great journey, to go on the great journey. Because hummingbirds migrate from Brazil to Canada every year. They embark on the hero's journey without asking, well, we're not even supposed to be able to fly, and there are no flowers to suck on until we get to Cuba. No, they go on the great heroic journey. Or perhaps you needed more clarity and vision and foresight and the ability to overcome obstacles. And then you call them the spirit of ego, because ego knows no obstacles. She simply flies higher. So let's begin by summoning these four ancient archetypes. These were representing these four forces, but they were represented in a very animistic way. The which is the way that all shamanic traditions work. So join me, if you would, as I call on each of the directions and I spray flower water, in a way almost offering them incense to each one of the directions and summoning them to be present with us. And this is a practice that you can do at home. You should do at home, so you can bring balance and healing and beauty to your loved ones and to your space. So we begin with the south, calling on the spirit of the serpent. To the winds of the south, mother, sister, serpent, we call on you. Come and wrap your coils of light around us. Teach us your ways, the beauty way. To walk with beauty on the earth, to touch everyone we touch with beauty. Teach us to shed the past the way that you shed your skin, all at once. And now to the west, to the jaguar. To the winds of the west, mother, sister, jaguar, we call on you, mother. Walk among us, protect our medicine space. Bring us your lessons of fearlessness in these times of great fear. Teach us the ways of courage. Teach us the ways beyond death to infinity. Aho. Then to the north. To the winds of the north, grandmothers and grandfathers, ancient ones, guardians and keepers of this land, we call upon you. Hummingbird, teach us your ways of drinking only from the nectar of life. Be with us. Teach us to spread our own wings. Teach us the ancient ways. Aho. And to the winds of the east, the place of the rising sun, eagle, condor, we call on you, mother. Fly high above us. Teach us your ways of flight, of vision. Teach us to spread our own wings and always fly wing to wing with the Great Spirit. Aho! And to Mother Earth. Mother Earth, Great Mother, thank you, Mother. Thank you for holding us so sweetly, for teaching us your ways. Thank you for teaching us the ways of the flowers and the healing herbs, and for the beauty and the love and the healing that you offer to us each day. Aho. And to the Great Spirit, to the heavens. Inti Taita, Father Sun, Grandmother Moon, to all the ancient ones, the sacred mountains of this land, we call on you, and all the luminous beings of time past and time future. We call on you to be with us today in these times of great change in the earth. And Great Spirit, creator of all, you who sit above us and below us in the north, in the south, in the east, and the west, thank you for bringing us together today in this circle around the sacred fire and allowing us to sing the song of life one more day. Aho. So the shaman lives in an animistic world, in a world that is animated, it's alive, recognizing that there's nothing that's dead in the world. Even rocks have a small amount of consciousness, that we are living in a field of tremendous wisdom and consciousness, what the physicists today call the quantum field, that the quantum field is cognizant, it's intelligent, and we could interact with it. It's not just a bunch of forces of nature. It's an intelligent field that we're surrounded by and that we interact with all the time through our own energy field, our luminous energy field. And this was the key, one of the keys to shamanic medicine, understanding that the energy field contains information that's encoded with all of the beauty that you inherited from your family of origin and all of the terrible things, the male pattern baldness, the heart disease, the breast conditions that run in your family, the Alzheimer's or the dementia. It's all encoded in the field. And if you can upgrade the quality of the field, if you can extract these imprints and upgrade them with pure, clean energy and information, then you don't have to live out the illnesses and the maladies and the tragic stories that run in our families. And you can help your clients to become free of these as well. So the shamans practice preventive medicine. And before we get too deeply into the subject, I want to very quickly address a point that is so important today, which is cultural misappropriation, which is stealing things from other cultures. Now, I trained with the Andean and Amazon shamans, and I went through a pretty rigorous traditional training process. But then with the shamans, I began to understand that they were the guardians of an ancient wisdom. And this ancient wisdom is to be shared and passed on. Not the cultural forms, not dressing up like a shaman, not trying to be an Indian, but understanding the ancient wisdom. Part of it was herbal, was the medicinal plants, which we teach our students in our training program. What are those plants that switch on the genes that create health and that silence the genes that create disease? Today we know the medical research that you can silence more than 500 genes that create cancer and dementia and heart disease, and you can switch on more than 200 genes. They're called the sirtuins that create extraordinary health. Well, the shamans discovered the plants that do this. These were their sacred plants, and today we've checked them out in the laboratory, some of them, and we understand that you can create health by silencing these genes. But you not only need to address the genetics, you need to address the energetics. So to go back to cultural misappropriation, we don't want to teach you to become an Indian. You can't. It's impossible. But you can become a modern shaman. The word shaman is an ancient word from the German, the ancient German, and the Tungus in northern Russia. And it's become popularly used today. But the shamans in the Andes are not called shamans, they're called pacos. In the Amazon, they're called vegetalistas. But today, this word has become a universal word to refer to an ancient body of wisdom that we can tap into. So it's very important that we don't practice cultural misappropriation, and that we understand that all of the practices that we learned are based on science, are based on energy medicine, are based on ancient traditions from many, many parts of the world. And in the same way that we want to be able to use the plant medicine in pharmaceuticals, like aspirin, for example, came from a tree. The first anesthesia came from the Amazon, from the use of curare. In the same way, we want to bring the ancient wisdom together with cutting-edge brain science in a way that you can use it today. Now, the ancient wisdom inevitably led you to a spiritual experience, to recognizing the invisible world. I remember many years in the Amazon, many years ago, I cut myself in the leg, and one of the medicine women saw that I was putting antibiotic ointment on it and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm putting this antibiotic on to kill the parasites and the bacteria that want to move into my open wound." And they said, "What are bacteria?" I said, "These invisible beings that can cause disease and infection." I said, "Oh, invisible beings, you mean like spirits?" I said, "No, not like spirits, like bacteria." And the following month, when I went back to the Amazon, I took a microscope with me. And I took a drop of water, put it in a slide, put it in the microscope, and I called the medicine woman, and all the children came also. And she looked through the microscope and she said, "Oh my God, there's a whole world of life in there. What are these?" I said, "Bacteria. They're only invisible to us because they're so small." Now, when I try to tell scientist friends that there's an invisible world in the quantum field that we're interacting with, they're beings, they're masters, they're teachers, they're all kinds of being, power animals, spirits that can affect us and influence us and that we need to be in right relationship with. They go, what do you mean an invisible world? Like bacteria? I go, no, like spirits. So this is the dimension that's missing in our Western world because science cannot see it or measure it. And much of our science, medical science today, extraordinary as it is, Western medicine is the best medicine if you are in an automobile accident. But if you have a chronic condition, or if you want to prevent the cancer and the dementias and the heart disease, like people in the Amazon do, in the Amazon, when I was a medical anthropologist in the Amazon, they had no cancer, no dementia, no heart disease, no Alzheimer's. Today, if you live to be 85 years old, and you will, your risk for having diagnosable Alzheimer's is 50%. 1 out of 2 of us will have diagnosable Alzheimer's. Now we can prevent this. There's no Alzheimer's in pre-agricultural communities like you find in the Amazon. It's only when they begin to eat like us and get disconnected from nature and lose their spiritual way and have cell phones and modern lifestyle that they begin to get sick like us and to die like us. But before we continue, I'd like to invite us to do a meditation together. What we want to do is we want to reset our biological rhythm. Right now, we are primed to be doing 20 things at once and answering emails and telephone calls, and the mind is going nonstop. And to reset our biology, we need to do it through our breath. And we're going to do a shamanic exercise, which is the 4-4-4 breath. So join me in this practice to kind of quiet our nervous system, bring our breathing rate down. In fact, after we do this, I want to invite you to, or later on in the day, to measure your breath, to see how many breaths you take a minute. Most of us take between 12 and 16 breaths a minute. In this practice, you're going to learn to take 2 breaths a minute, and this will reset your nervous system. So again, we're going to inhale to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4, exhale to 4, and empty to 4. But let's take a big breath jointly together. And another. And now inhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold to 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. And empty to 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to 4, 3, 4. Hold to 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Empty to 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold to 4. Exhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Empty to 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold to 4, 3, 4. Exhale to 4, 2, 3, 4. Empty to 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to 4, 3, 4. Hold to 4, And one more time. This is a great breathing practice used by shamanic societies around the world, and later and most recently used by special forces teams in many countries, because it resets your nervous system, allows you to drop down to a very deeply relaxed state. So try it if you have a difficult time falling asleep or meditating. Do this before your meditation, and then you are able to drop into that deeply relaxed shamanic healing state in which the body's own systems can begin to reset. So this is an example also of how Mother Nature, biology, is experimenting all the time. And for example, we cannot stop breathing. Breathing is an autonomic function for us humans, and you cannot stop breathing. Nobody's ever committed suicide by holding their breath. You can't. But dolphins, for example, don't have breathing programmed as an autonomic function. They have to choose to take every breath, which is why only half of the dolphin brains is able to sleep at any one time, so that the other half can continue breathing. So if a dolphin decides that she's not happy in the amusement park, she can go to the deep end of the pool and settle down at the bottom and decide to not take another breath and commit suicide. Amazing. So Mother Nature's experimenting all the time. And today we're taking part in an extraordinary biological experiment because we're living during an extinction event. There have been 5 extinction events in the planet. We're living in number 6. In the last decade, more species have become extinct and are becoming extinct than in any of the previous extinction events. And it's being caused by the climate crisis that we're living in. The previous extinction event happened 65 million years ago, when a gigantic meteorite struck the Earth and wiped out 99% of the species. Before that was when oxygen appeared in the Earth, and again, massive extinction event. We're living in an extraordinary cataclysmic extinction event. Now, what happens during these times is that evolution stops being incremental and slow, and is accelerated tremendously. Evolution during normal times follows the laws of Newtonian mechanics, which is slow, incremental, in between generations. The children will be smarter than you are. But during extinction events, evolution follows the laws of quantum physics. It's called quantum speciation, very accelerated evolution. Mother Nature steps on the accelerator. New species are being born in the rainforest today. So we have the opportunity to be part of this experiment, to take a quantum leap within generations, within your lifetime and my lifetime. We can become a new human that's appearing on the earth today, and that is the fulfillment of ancient prophecies of the shamans around many, many parts of the world. Many cultures speak about the dawn of a new human. In the Andes, it's called Homo luminous, the luminous human, not thinking humans any longer, but Homo luminous, luminous humans, Homo sapiens to Homo luminous. And we can be part of this experiment. And the prophecies say that the old human has died already, it's dying off. And if we don't become that new human, we're going to become extinct. And we have the opportunity to do this within our lifetimes. And this is what shamanic energy medicine is about. It's not only about preventing the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse that so haunt us in the West. It's about taking that quantum leap to become a new human. Because in today's world, we think of healing as fixing things that have gone wrong. With shamanic energy medicine, healing is about preventing things, keeping things from going wrong. And if you do that, you don't have to have dementia. You don't have to have cancer. You don't have to have heart disease. You don't have to have any of the chronic conditions that are killing us today. But even more exciting, okay, great. Now you're not following that path that's going to get you to die young after being incapacitated for the last 20 years of your life. Now the exciting thing is to take a quantum leap and become that new human that will heal differently, that will live differently, that will age differently, and that can heal aging itself, that can get her health span to equal her lifespan. And our task now as humans is to heal and prevent aging. Now you will still grow older, but you don't have to be aging as you grow older. So this is the cutting edge of shamanic energy medicine. And to do it, we have to know the neuroscience. We have to learn how to work with the plants that will not only switch on the genes that create health, but slow down the aging process itself. Take your health with you for the rest of your life. This is what's most exciting to me about the energy medicine practices. But as you go into the neuroscience, you learn that we have 4 brains. A very ancient brain called the reptilian brain that we share with the reptiles. We have an ancient brain called the mammalian brain, which is the brain of the emotions, which is the place where the fight or flight, the fear response resides. And if we can reset that brain and not be living in fear, and not have it be producing the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, then we can access the higher brain, called the neocortex. That is the brain where we can experience oneness and communion with all life. Now, before the ancient mammalian brain that we share with all the mammals will let go, it needs a rite of passage. That brain will not change unless we have ceremony. It's an ancient brain. That's why there's ceremonies everywhere in the world. And I want to share with you next one of the ceremonies that we work with. In fact, I want to invite you to find a candle. Go ahead and find a candle, find a little toothpick, maybe a small stick that you can use to put in the fire. And we're going to do a fire ceremony together. So take a moment to do this. If you want to join, or you can do it a little bit later once the program is finished. And remember that we have sat around the fire for 1,000,000 years. We told stories around the fire. We shared our dreams. The fire kept the night at bay. We had babies around the fire, made love around the fire, and helped our dear ones to die and return to the world of spirit around the fire. So our shamanic tradition is a fire-based tradition. And fire, the ceremony of fire, is the central ceremony. So let me invite you to do that. And once you have your stick, I have these little hibachi sticks that I like using a lot. I'm going to invite you to blow into this stick, to light your candle, of course, and blow into this stick whatever it is that you need to let go of right now. What belief system, what set of behaviors, what embedded beliefs do you not only need to let go, you may not be ready to let them go, but I want to invite you to blow it into the stick so you can provide your ancient limbic tyrant brain with a pathway, to a bridge to be able to release and let go of the old, of all of that baggage that you've been carrying that you cannot find any way to get rid of, because this brain needs ceremony in order to change. Remember that you cannot change your mind until you change your brain. And this ceremony will allow you to do that. Whatever it is that you want to put in here, that you want to let go of, that's ready to die. Take a minute and blow into it. Even if you don't have a clear idea, blow a feeling into it. Blow a sensation, blow an image. And then when you've done that, hold it to the fire and release to the fire all of those thoughts, beliefs that are stale, that are dated, that are keeping you from becoming your best. Release them to the fire. And now, I want you to pass your hands through the fire and bring that light to your belly, to the womb, to that sacred place where you find your power to create. So it awakened that power to create a new reality, a new life, a new experience to your heart center. And to your forehead. Releasing to the fire and taking that light from the fire. This is a very brief version of humanity's most ancient ceremony. And I invite you to practice it at this time. To become that new human that we're talking about, we need to release, to let go, to shed dated belief systems that are keeping us in suffering and that are keeping us from experiencing the joy and health that we're capable of experiencing. They're beliefs that we inherited from our family of origin. They're beliefs that are 1,000 years old, when the world was still flat. And today we need to discover a new story for the planet and no longer keep trying to fix and amend and repair the old story that we've inherited. But let me tell you a little bit about the training program and what you're going to learn in the energy medicine training. So there are 4 core practices that you'll learn. But of course, you'll also experience the cosmology, the spiritual paths, the initiations. But the 4 core practices are the illumination process, the extraction, soul retrieval, and the great death rites. So let me briefly take you through each of these. The illumination is a core healing practice. And it consists of 2 parts. The first is learning how to reset the fight or flight system in the brain and in the nervous system and in the vagus nerve, an ancient nerve that connects to every organ in the body and to your ancient reptilian brain. And this is the brain where trauma resides, in the reptilian brain and in the vagus nerve. Very difficult to reset because it's been set by the fight or flight system. And the fight or flight system is one of the only systems in the body that's a feed forward system. It's not a feedback system. It means that you're producing adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones, and the more you produce, the more that the hippocampus is triggered to produce more adrenaline and more cortisol. It cannot reset itself. The human brain is so complex that it cannot reset fight or flight. Every other animal in nature is capable of resetting fight or flight through this kind of quiver that goes through the entire body and resets the nervous system. So the very first thing we do is to reset the fight or flight system energetically by tuning the heart of your client or your child or your loved one who may be passing to the heartbeat of the earth, of the mother, and then tuning the second chakra to their heartbeat. Remember, the heart is the great drummer in the body. And if we can retune the chakras, we can reset the fight or flight system and help our loved ones and ourselves and our clients to find peace, to pull their radar in, to not be looking for danger all the time. Many of us were born into families that were not safe. So we were born with our fight or flight system locked in the on position and perhaps believe that that's our normal state. But once you reset it and you experience inner peace, wow, what an amazing difference. Then after resetting fight or flight, the illumination process allows you to clear the imprints in the energy field. Now I'll tell you a little story. Many years ago, I was studying anthropology in my late 20s, and the foundation that sponsored my research in the Amazon calls me and says, Alberto, we need a junior anthropologist in Haiti to finish the study that we're doing on voodoo. Now, voodoo is one of the great healing sciences and arts from Africa, but in Haiti, since the French were so abusive, the average lifespan of the slave, of the African slave in Haiti was 2 years. They began to use voodoo to kind of retaliate, to establish balance with their oppressors. So it became a deadly art. So I said to the head of the foundation, look, I don't know anything about voodoo. My expertise is in the Amazon. And they say, we know, we're looking at your grant proposal this very minute. And I said, oh, when do you need me there? Following week, I was in Haiti helping the senior anthropologist. And I was doing basic anthropology, going house to house and finding how many kids and how many old people. But he was working with the voodoo priest, and I asked one of the old voodoo priests, how do you hurt someone? And they said, well, simple. We can take our rattle, it's actually a bunch of herbs, and shake it and call the spirit of that person to come to us when they're asleep. And then we scan their energy field, and if we see a ball of dark energy, we just, and it may be over the heart, we activate it. And suddenly it becomes a running computer program. And that person will die 2 weeks later from a heart attack. And I said, well, that's terrible. But how do you help to heal someone? They said, it's the same way. You know, we call under spirit. And if we find that there's a dark bundle of energy, we pull it out of the system, we illuminate it, we fill it with pure light, and then we prevent that disease from happening. Now, I found the same practices were being done in the Amazon. The healers in the Amazon were able to clear these bundles that the Chinese, in Chinese medicine, is called stale qi or deadly qi. Clear it from the field so it doesn't sink roots into an organ, into your weakest organ, and begin to express itself as an illness. This is the illumination process. Clearing the imprints that we inherited from our family of origin so we don't have to live and get sick and die the way that they did. We can clear the imprints and then illuminate the energy field. Make it full of beautiful, beautiful light that is going to create health. It's going to begin to switch on the genetics for health, because we don't switch our genetics on and off only with food or medicine. We do it through the energetics, the illumination process, the core foundation process in energy medicine, in shamanic energy medicine. The next process that we work with is the understanding that all the energy that we experience, not all of it belongs to us. Sometimes we're afflicted by energies, maybe we inherit them, generational curses. They're called generational curses in the Amazon. The way that our grandmothers and our mothers suffered. These are energies and information that's stored in the field, but that we need to extract with crystals. So we learn to work with extracting intrusive energies and occasionally intrusive entities. I remember one when my book Shaman Healer Sage was published, they invited me to come to New York, the publishers, to speak to the sales force. And and there were 20 of us authors, and I had 10 minutes right after lunch, and nobody knew what a shaman was, and they weren't interested. And then a man walks into the room, dressed in a suit, and everybody perks up. And I didn't know who he was, but he said to the team, "You have all known me for 10 years or longer. And I want to tell you what happened to me with one of Dr. Violdo's students. You know, I've had a problem with alcohol for the last 10 years. And I went to one of his graduates, and I had an energy healing session, and that was 6 months ago, and I haven't had a drop of alcohol since. This stuff really works." And suddenly everybody's interested, because everybody in publishing in New York has a problem with alcohol. So I asked, I called my student right after the talk, and I said, "What did you do?" And she said to me, "Well, this man came up in the limousine and walked into my office, and walking in right behind him was his father's spirit." And I said, "Well, what did you do?" She said, "Well, I helped his father go back home." She did an extraction. It was an intrusive entity that didn't know that he had died and was coming for help to a loved one, his son. And so what she did is to help him go back home, help him to go back to the spirit world, to the healing centers in the spirit world. And the minute that his dad went back home, he could stop drinking. He could break the habit. So many of our problems that we encounter are caused by spirit entities. Another quick story, one of our students brought her daughter to me. Her daughter was not speaking, was 9 years old, beautiful young girl, and I found out that when the daughter was 4 years old, the father had committed suicide, had shot himself. And the daughter found him. And she kept saying, "Daddy, wake up, Daddy." And Daddy was dead. Daddy hated his life, but he really loved his little girl. So he became attached to her. And when she walked into my office, she looked at me, and my office was in Los Angeles at that time, and turned around and ran right out of the door, crossed a big, busy avenue full of traffic, and went into a Starbucks. And it took a month for her to come back into my office again, because she knew that she was going to lose her daddy again. And after several visits where she waited outside in the hallway, she came in and we did an extraction, because Daddy realized he had to let his little girl go. We extracted the father's spirit into a crystal, and then I returned his spirit, turned it over to the lineage of shamans that works with us from the spirit world. And the little girl came and sat on my lap and looked into my eyes, crying, and she said to me, "Would you be my daddy?" And I hugged her and gave her a lot of love, and then she could mourn the loss of her father, but not have the father be a disturbing entity. She became verbal again, came out of the special education classes, stopped hitting other children. A lot of the behavioral problems that we see in children are caused by relatives that did not die consciously, and that are caught in a dream, a nightmare they can't wake up from. and that are gravitating to a loved one to seek help. The extraction process, incredibly powerful. And we had a priest, a Catholic priest, come to one of our trainings, and he said, oh yeah, we do the same thing. We call it an exorcism. I said, we don't do exorcisms because you're taking somebody's uncle or mother and throwing them into the dark. We turn them over to the lineage of luminous beings who will care for them in the spirit world, who will help them to heal. And another quick story. So we used to do trainings at a Zen Buddhist monastery in the United States, in Connecticut. And beautiful, beautiful monastery. They rented the facility to us. And one time the head of the monastery says to me, Alberto, we have an old nun here that's just always so grouchy. She doesn't talk to anybody. Can you see if your work can help her? And I said, well, sure. And I met the nun. She was from Japan. And I began to track for her energetically. And I saw with my shaman's vision that you learned to develop, by the way, in the program, I saw that there were dozens of spirits attached to her. And I asked her, what happened to you? And she started telling me how when she was 10 years old, she was living in Hiroshima and the atomic bomb struck and she survived. But she walked down the street, her family were gone, the buildings were skeletons, and she thought that she could hear the spirits of the dead screaming and asking for help. And she was so compassionate, even at that age, that they all became attached to her. And now she was 65 years old or 70 years old, and she was just still carrying all these spirits. So we helped them one by one to die consciously, to return to the spirit world. And finally, after 6 months of work, she started singing and being happy and hugging people. You don't do that in monasteries. But she was so happy. The first time in 70 years, so she was able to be happy. And then the head of the order says, you know, she's being a little bit too affectionate with people. Can you put her back the way she was? I said, no, there's no putting back the way she was. So this is a very important process, not only because of the extraction of energies and of entities, but because we help them to find peace. And we help our clients and our loved ones to find deep peace as well. The third process is the soul retrieval process, where we learn that we can recover a part of ourselves that was lost as a result of trauma. See what happens during trauma, and by the way, there are no traumatic events. There are no traumatic events. There are only traumatic experiences. So two people can have the same experience and it can be traumatic for one and not for the other. They're traumatic experiences. And what happens there in psychology is called disassociation. In energy medicine, we understand that a part of our soul, of our being, splits off. And it's too painful for it to remain there. And it splits off. And it, according to lore, goes back to the belly, to the womb of the great mother, of Pachamama, who holds her children there. Now the shaman is able to journey back to that incident, to that time, and find that soul part and coax it, invite it to come back, and bring it back to the person so that they can become whole again. Extraordinarily sweet and dynamic process where you recover an essential part of your being, an essential part of yourself. Shamanic journeying. And shamanic journeying is the core practice that we have. Now, the core practice in the East is called meditation. In the West, the core practice is prayer. For us as shamans, our core practice is journeying, stilling the mind, stilling the heart with the breath, stilling the soul, and then journeying. And we can journey across time or across space. And we can journey across a client's timeline to discover an event that maybe was even in a former lifetime, to discover an event that caused your soul to splinter, to break apart. And we can bring the soul part back and return it to the person, and then help them make the lifestyle changes, the dietary, exercise, forgiveness practices that they need to do in order to be able to welcome that soul part back, based on the journeying process. And the fourth intervention are the great rites of passage, particularly the great death rites. Because in the West, we've forgotten how to die. And we don't die only once at the end of our lives. We have many lifetimes, like the jaguars do, like the cats do. We have 9 lives or more. And at the end of each one of these lifetimes within this incarnation, of the stage in your life, you have to go through the death rites to become that new person that you're becoming. Otherwise, you bring all of that trauma, all of those ancient stories accompany you. So the death rites also are used to help a loved one make their final crossing, to disengage the energy body, the luminous body, from the physical body and return it home so it doesn't get caught in the purgatories or the bardos of the Tibetans, in the in-between places. So it can make that journey back to the light, to luminosity, to beauty, and to the divine, consciously and powerfully. So this is a very quick summary of the skills that you develop in the training. And part of the training is also learning to retrieve a power animal. And what I'd like to do is to invite you to join me in a meditation where you're going to recover, to retrieve a power animal that may be stalking you at this time, a kind of wisdom or knowledge or power that may be searching for you, looking for you, or that you may want to summon to yourself. So let's do a power animal retrieval, a power animal meditation, and then Stefan will be able to come back to you to respond to any questions that you may have about the program. Stefan?
Yes, thank you, Alberto. And we're going to go into the power animal journey in just a moment.
We are always being stalked by a power animal, by a new kind of power and wisdom that the universe is offering us. Now, in the West, when we want to acquire a new kind of wisdom, we generally go to college or we get married to learn the big lessons in life. But the shamans approached it differently. The shamans would summon the representation of that wisdom in nature in the form of an animal, of a power animal, of a spirit animal. And remember that the word animal comes from the word anima, that the animals are the anima, the soul of nature, the soul of the mother. And when we call on these elements of her soul, these natural elements, they reset our natural instincts. We acquire the strength of a buffalo. We acquired the vision of an eagle. We acquired the perseverance of a mouse, so that we did not have to acquire this wisdom through interaction with another human being, with our children, with our bosses, with our partners. We were able to receive these gifts directly from the cosmos. I'm going to invite you today to connect with that kind of power and wisdom that is stalking you right now, that the universe is offering to you, and that when you open your heart and your soul and your energy field to receive this wisdom directly from nature, we don't have to learn it through a life lesson that shows up suddenly in our doorstep. So this is a way of directly communing with knowledge. And that knowledge is absorbed by your field. And from the energy field that goes in through your chakras to inform your physical body, and even to upgrade the quality of your health and of your physical body. The power animals also will guide you when you return back to the world of spirit. At the moment of your passing, your power animal will guide you through the journeys beyond death, through the territories that lie between the world of form and the world of formlessness, through these layers of dense energy that we have to cross in order to return back to our source. These layers of dense energies were called the bardos in the Himalayas. They're called the purgatories in the West. Your power animal serves as a guide to take you directly back to the light and back to the world of spirit. Very important, this connection with this element of nature. So join me in a journey to meet the wisdom and the power that the universe is offering you at this very moment. So we're going to begin by opening our Viracocha, by expanding our light body to step outside of ordinary time and space. Bringing our hands to our heart center and dropping into our breath. And another. And on an in-breath, bringing your hands up into this radiant sun above your head and expanding it around you. Enveloping yourself in your field, in who you were before you were born and who you will be after you die. This is that eighth chakra that exists outside of time, but that manifests in time as you and I. And in this bubble of light, this radiant sun that is you now, we're going to track for that spirit animal. So close your eyes and drop into a gentle breath. Inhaling softly, exhaling, inhaling again. And we're going to journey deep into the realm of souls. This is not the surface wisdom that the universe is offering you, but the very deep, deep wisdom. The deepest wisdom in your heart and your soul that life is offering you right now. That perhaps you may not even feel that you're ready for. Because these power animals almost always offer us more than we think we can handle. But then we grow into it. We rise to the occasion. I'd like you to imagine yourself in a meadow, beautiful green meadow, walking barefoot, feeling the soft grass beneath your feet. And at a distance you see a tree. It's the world tree, great, great tree. You walk closer to it. And it's the tree of life, the tree of wisdom. Branches reaching high into the heavens. Great white trunk inviting you to step into it. And you can feel the hum of the roots as they reach down into the earth. And you accept the invitation. You step inside the trunk in your luminous form. And you stand there for a moment, feeling the rivers of sunlight flowing down toward the roots through you. And the streams of water coming up from the roots to the upper branches, laden with minerals, mineral-rich life force. While the rivers of sunlight flow down, and you follow these rivers of sunlight down into the roots, deep into the earth, past the rich, moist earth, the giant boulders, following that great taproot. It goes deep into the belly of the mother. And at the very tip of that taproot, it emerges into an underground river, an underground stream, and you lie in it. And you allow the stream to wash away any energies you may not bring with you into the realms of the soul. And now you allow these waters to take you deeper into the belly of the earth and to wash you onto the shores of a sacred garden, a secret garden. This is your garden. Look about you. Stand up. There is a light. Look at the forest, the fields of flowers, at a meadow, a mountain in the distance. This is that sacred garden that we were cast out of, but that now lives inside of each of us. A sacred garden where you can come and meet Spirit directly. You walk towards the meadow. Towards the center of the meadow, there's a great boulder. And as you draw near, you sense that there's an invitation for you to sit on that stone and summon your power animal. That power and wisdom that is being offered to you by the cosmos. And you sit in that stone and you open your light body once again, hands to your heart, finding your breath, and on an in-breath, bringing your hands up into that radiant sun above your head and expanding it around you, stepping outside of time once again. Stepping into your own light, your luminosity, your Buddha light. This is your Christ light, your sacred light. And in your heart, in your soul, you ask that you be given that wisdom, you be offered that power animal that is right for you to receive at this moment. You ask for it with your heart, your soul, with a prayer, that you may receive this wisdom and power and use it for your growth, your healing, and for the healing of others. And your senses, your luminous senses are all awake. You sense how there's a presence approaching from behind. Do not turn. You feel it drawing closer. And you know that it's your spirit animal. It's come to you. And you feel it stopping right behind you. You feel the hair in the back of your neck standing up and alert. And now slowly and gently, you turn around and gaze into the eyes of your power animal. Gaze into the eyes of your power animal. And ask your power animal, who are you? What are your gifts? What is your medicine? What wisdom do you bring to me? What power are you offering me? What part of me has to die for you to live within me? What beliefs and habits and stories do I need to let go of for you to enter me and live within me? What is your medicine? And ask your power animal anything you'd like to ask. Gaze into his eyes, and if it feels right, invite your power animal to come into you through your heart center and reach out with your hands and receive your power animal. Reach out with your hands and bring your power animal into you. Feel its spirit merging with yours, its wisdom and its power becoming yours. Take it into you. Feathers, claws, beak, fur, wings. Taking the spirit of the sacred animal into you and feel it inhabiting every cell in your body, filling the spaces in between each cell with its power, its beauty, its elegance, its speed. Resetting your instinct, making your instinct true again, bringing you back to your nature, expanding you, filling you with that love that the mother has for all her children. Place your hands over your heart center. And gather the folds of your Viracocha, of your 8th chakra. Gather it into a radiant orb above your head once again. And bring it into your physical body, healing your body. Collecting all of that power and wisdom of your spirit animal and taking it into you. The spirit of the mother, the anima, the soul of the earth. And now begin to make your way back to the place where you entered. Back to that stream. And sensing your spirit animal inside you. And now I'd like you to call on the spirit animal by your side. It's within you and outside you both. Showing you that there's no difference between inside and outside in the spirit world. And feel it by your side, as well as inside you. And ask it to return with you, if it's right. And dive into the waters. Dive into the waters and allow the waters to take you back to the place where you rested. Calling on your spirit animal to be by your side, to accompany you. Be with me. Do not leave me. Guide me, protect me. And rest once again, allowing the waters to wash away any energies you may not bring with you back to our world, the middle world. And looking above you and noticing the taproot from that great tree And stepping back into that taproot, calling on your spirit animal to accompany you. And allowing the taproot to carry you up with the rivers of fluid of water to carry you up from the depths of the earth with your power animal, higher and higher, past the great boulders and the rich, moist earth, back into the trunk in our world, feeling your animal by your side, and step out of the great world tree, of the tree of wisdom, and step out, calling on your power animal to accompany you. And now turn back to the tree and bow to it. Thank you, great being. Thank you. And begin to make your way back across the meadow, calling on your spirit animal to be by your side. Back across the meadow, feeling the cool, moist grass beneath your feet, sensing your power animal by your side, making your way back into your room, into your body, into this moment, and sensing your power animal by your side. Sensing its beauty, its grace, its power, and how it will look after you and care for you and protect you and guide you through this life and beyond this life into infinity. Now that you've received the power animal, it's important to maintain that relationship, to grow that relationship. Take your power animal for a walk. When you're walking in nature, try to become your power animal. Remember that it's inside you as well as by your side. And don't walk like a person trying to walk like a jaguar, but like a jaguar trying to walk like a person. Reach for your cup of tea like a gazelle might, or like a hawk might. Engage your whole body. Become the spirit animal. In traditional societies, you might even take the name of your spirit animal. One of my great mentors was a man named Benito Corihuaman, the golden falcon. The golden falcon. And he acquired the gifts of the falcon. He was an extraordinary seer. He could look at you and tell you what happened to you when you were 3 years old, because it was written in your field. Acquire the gifts and the power of that animal, not only to function in the human world. Remember that the human world is only a small part of reality, but to function in the cosmos at large, in the invisible world that we humans also occupy, but that we inhabit primarily at night in the dream time. Because in our modern world, there's very little territory for that invisible world to exist. So invite your power animal to guide you in this journey between the worlds, so that when your final crossing between your particle state and your field state happens, your power animal will be by your side, will guide you back to the light without any detours, expediently, in one single breath. These are some of the tools of the master shaman. These are the master's tools, actually. And the great purpose is to not only heal ourselves and bring a little bit of healing and beauty to those around us and to the world, but to dream the world into being, to co-create with spirit. In our story of creation, we learn that on the seventh day, creation was complete, and all that was left was the naming of the plants and the animals. In the story of creation of the shamans, the Great Spirit says, you know, I created the butterflies and the whales and the sparrows, aren't they beautiful? And now you finish it. Creation is not complete. Our task is to complete creation, is to co-create with spirit. So while in the West, our religions are focused primarily on the creator, on God, the creator God, the shamanic practices are not focused on the creator. They're focused on creation and creating, co-creating with spirit, because we're not separate from, and creation because we are the stewards and the caretakers of creation. We are the earth keepers. These are the tools of the great architect, the tools of spirit that have been polished and honed and worked with carefully for millennia by the sages, by men and women of wisdom. These are the tools that we use to dream the world into being, not to twist the world at our will to make it a little bit more comfortable for ourselves or for our loved ones, but to be in service to creation, to create beauty. And this is the shaman's task, to complete creation, to dream the world into being, the entire world, not just your immediate world. And as you dream the entire world into being, your world also is dreamt into beauty and into health and into longevity and into peace. The more that you use these great tools to be in service to all of creation, the more that creation comes into service to you and for your loved ones. But it must be in that order. And there's a story among the shamans that before we were born, that we were all gathered together in a great green field, and a very big angel came out and said to us, you know, this is going to be a very challenging time for the planet. There's going to be war, there's going to be famine, there are going to be epidemics, there's going to be climate crisis. We need healers, we need shamans. Who wants to come? Who's ready to come to the world to bring beauty and healing? And we all volunteered. We all signed up to be part of the solution. We didn't want to miss out on this extraordinary event that we're living through, on this quantum leap into becoming a new human that all of the ancient prophecies speak about, that quantum leap that will happen within our generation, because quantum leaps happen within generations, not the way ordinary gradual biology works, which is in between generations. Quantum leaps happen within generations so that you and I can become the ones that we've been waiting for. The time is now. This is the time of the great awakening, of the great leap that we're taking together to become that new human that I call Homo luminous, not only knowing man, Homo sapiens, but knowing luminous humans. Thank you very much for joining me, and dream your world with beauty, with peace, with courage for yourself, for your little ones, the children, for the elders that may be near their time of crossing over. We know how to help them cross over consciously. We know the ascension process. Shamans have been masters at knowing the ways between the worlds. And today we have the opportunity to embody these tools, to use them with wisdom, and to co-create with beauty in this extraordinary world that we live in.
Wow, some beautiful teachings and deep experiences now with the power animal journey and also the fire ceremony that Alberto led earlier today. So I invite you to share in the chat box what power animals showed up for you. And also we would like to invite you to send in your questions so we can answer a couple of them later today. But first, now I want to add to what Alberto was sharing about the things that you will learn in the online training and talk a little bit more about the structure of the online program and how it works so that you get a better understanding what to expect and how energy work can be learned and can be experienced over a distance through the online modality. But first of all, again, my name is Steffen Büffel. I also went through the medicine wheel training with the Four Winds a couple of years ago. And I want to share a little bit about my background because I wasn't born as a modern day shaman. I became one. And the way that went was through my version of the dark night of the soul. So I have a background in the social sciences and digital media. I worked at different universities in different countries. Teaching, doing research, and I really loved what I was doing. But at some point when I started my own freelancing career as a business consultant, I kind of got into the hamster wheel and like I worked way too much and I didn't really connect to my friends anymore or to myself actually. And that led me into some sort of a crisis, a deep crisis of, you know, spiritual crisis, relationship crisis, professional crisis. And, you know, I was looking for a way out and I didn't want to go into therapy or something like that, but I knew that I had to change. I had to change my ways. And, you know, I started with some coaching and inner child work and other healing modalities that really helped me to get back on my feet. But it wasn't until like pretty much 10 years ago when I stumbled across shamanism. I didn't know about shamanic energy work. I heard the term shaman and I had some like stereotypical images that I, you know, saw in movies. But yeah, I was in Canada back in those days, and I saw an advertisement where a student of a shaman was looking for clients to, you know, get more experience. And so I signed up for a session. It was a chakra healing session with crystals and shamanic rituals. And had a really deep, profound spiritual experience. And that's when I heard the call. And I also understood that the call was always there. It was just this whispering voice. It wasn't a loud voice like go and find a job, go and have yourself a career. It was the whispering voice of my soul that I needed to look within me and also really deeply understand that and experience that there's more to life than the visible and the physical. So that's what brought me to the shamanic path. And when I found Alberto's books, they resonated really deeply. And it kind of felt like, oh, this guy has something to say. Like today, it was beautiful teaching today and beautiful ceremonies. And that's what really deeply touched me. And I didn't even know what it touched, that it was there. But once it was touched, I knew, okay, this is something I want to nurture. This is something I want to grow. And then I found the Four Winds. I found their training programs. And I joined the online modality a couple of years ago. And while I was going through the training, which is not only a teaching training where you learn stuff, you go deep into the experience, you go on your own healing and also your hero's journey. A really deeply profound shift happened in my life. Not always easy, like I had to change and let go of old stuff to make room for, you know, my becoming. And that meant, you know, changing relationships, changing friendships, changing my way of living. So if you're ready to do that, then you're in the right place and you will get the guidance through the 6 months online training. And in our curriculum, we teach 10 different modules, and you will learn everything that Alberto spoke about today. You will learn how to connect with the archetypes. You know, you learn how to open sacred space, how to open your Viracocha. And really important, you will learn the illumination process, the extraction process, soul retrieval, and the great death rites that Alberto spoke about. But not only by us teaching them to you, but you will go into the experience. You will experience what you have heard, and you will experience what is in the teaching material. The teaching material itself is video-based, so once you join one of our training programs, you will get access to a learning environment, which is online. And there we have 120 hours and more, like video material that is structured along the lines of the curriculum. And every week, in addition to the course platform, there's going to be a 90-minute live call with your mentors, with the teachers of the Four Winds who will guide the group through the whole journey. And in the live calls, like pretty much like today, you know, we will open sacred space, we will do ceremony, and the fire ceremony is one ceremony that we do quite a lot because this path we're on is a path of fire, rapid transformation. And maybe you had some good experiences with the fire ceremony that we did during our live event today. And this is something you can easily do at home anytime, every time you feel like you want to release something and bring in the light. So this is something we also do in the live calls, but also there's going to be, of course, Q&A. There's going to be live step-by-step demonstrations on how, let's say, to do the illumination process over a distance, but also we will teach you how to do it with a client who might come and see you live in your private practice if you have one, if you consider to start one. You will learn all that. And Alberto will usually join once a month, and also we invite the Pacos, the shamans of the Queros, to come and do ceremony with us, and also to transmit some of the initiation rites. So it will be a really deep and rich experience. And you will also get, for each of the modules, we'll give you a workbook. And in the workbook, you will get lots of invitations to do your own inner work, your own healing work. But you will also get the guidance to reach out to fellow students, to really practice and to go into the experience with each other. So it's not just you alone in front of the computer watching videos, it's really building community. And we call it the AYU, your fellow students that are with you going through the medicine wheel journey, we call the AYU. And this is something we really focus on to connect you with other people and make that possible so that you can have a first-hand experience with your own healing journey, but also step into the shoes of a modern day shaman and work with fellow students as your clients. So a couple of things will happen when you go through the training. Once, you need to say yes, you need to find that inner spark, that whispering voice that calls you to look into this kind of work. And once you're on the journey, you're invited to really, like the hummingbird, to really go into this epic journey without knowing if you will have enough food, enough wings to fly. Just follow that voice and go all in. And if you're ready to do that, then a lot of magic will happen. There will be synchronicities coming your way. You will feel and find the seed of your medicine that is already in you. And one of my teachers, he once said that I'm not teaching you anything, I'm just reminding you. And that ties into the story that Alberto was sharing after the power animal journey, that we all came together in this in the scene where this angel showed up and asked and said, well, we need shamans, and we said yes. And now it's up to us all to step into our becoming a modern day shaman. In addition to the course material, the weekly live meetings, you will also get access to some sort of social network where you can meet each other. It's really private, and you can share and you can reach out to each other. So again, building community, connecting you on this journey so that and you feel that you are in a sacred container with others that are like-minded and on their own healing journey. So the next training starts in a couple of weeks. September 1st is going to be the next start date of the online energy medicine training. And we still have like an early bird special price available until August 8th. So we invite you to book your free academic consultation today. I am one of the academic advisors with the Four Winds, and we have a beautiful team of other academic advisors who are really there to answer more of your questions. And if you feel called to join our program, they will also help you to do the sign up and get ready. And I'm going to briefly share the website link where you can sign up for your free academic consultation. And we will also share that link in the chat box in just a moment. Yeah, something I also wanted to share with you guys, so you get a deeper understanding and like see what this is going to look like. While you go through the medicine wheel training, you will assemble your own mesa. The mesa, and I'm going to show you mine just for a moment. This is my mesa. It's the shaman's medicine bundle, and the mesa will hold a total of 13 medicine stones that you will find during the training, that you will initiate by going through your own healing and hero's journey, and they will then be put into a beautiful mestana, and you will have your own mesa at the very end. And there's a couple of other tools that we work with, and Alberto spoke about them briefly. We use the rattle to, call in the directions. We teach you how to do your own spirit water to really connect with the spirit world and to feed them and to invite them, call them in, summon them actually. And another tool I'm going to briefly show you, this is the extraction crystal, like one of them, like that Alberto was speaking about when we work with intrusive energies. We use those really clear, beautiful quartz crystal to help those energies to go back into the world of spirit, into the light. Yeah, and a couple of more tools, the feathers, for instance, to cut energetic cords. And, we will give you all the information and all the things that you need to know to get ready to become a modern day shaman. And what's happened for me in my life, like, as I said, I was a freelance consultant. Now I'm a full-time practitioner in shamanic energy medicine, and also the training, set me up to not only start a new career and follow my calling, but it also gave me a deep understanding and how to embody my own medicine and share it with the world, with my community, with my family, and of course with myself. So it's not just a role we step into, we are becoming the modern day shamans. And now I'm ready to take a couple of questions, and let's see what we have. Okay. Oh yeah, and I just saw that you guys shared some of the power animals you got. So the lion showed up, the tiger, the hummingbird, a lynx, dragon, buffalo, jaguar, wolf, ocelot, horse. Beautiful. So lots of beautiful power animals, and as Alberto shared, work with them and keep connecting to that energy that you now brought back in this journey. It's really a profound and also interesting and fun way to connect with the world of spirit, and you will realize how those forces of nature, how they can really support you to navigate the modern day world. So yeah, there's a question around how to improve our imagination and ability to have the inner vision. And this is something that you will learn right from the beginning. We call it tracking. We engage on the 4 levels of creation, the 4 levels of perception that Alberto spoke about in the very beginning. We look through the eyes of serpent, the eyes of jaguar, hummingbird, and eagle. And this is how we get information from the energy field of our clients. And what is really important that in this path, in this work, we only work with permission. So we ask our clients if it's okay, if we are allowed to scan their energy field, to track the energy field. And this is a skill that you will learn. And based on my experience as a teacher in this program, some people come into the training with a lot of their senses turned on. And for them, sometimes it's kind of hard to focus and like to get them together. And for others, they start at 0. That's what they believe, at least. But everyone can learn this way of shamanic seeing. And seeing is not only the visual piece that you have like a Hollywood movie playing in your head, it's also the other senses. So some people have just this inner knowing, others have like a feeling coming up, even others might smell or taste the information. And it's kind of a fun way to see and to find out what is your dominant channel of receiving information, and then train the others. And again, if we don't feel or sense anything, we will do a lot of practices and exercises that will help you to unlock those gifts that everyone can learn. Yeah, another question about how we can strengthen the relationship with the spirit guide. And let's stick with the power animals for a moment and consider that your power animal that showed up today is now your spirit guide. And you could enforce that and work with that by finding nice pictures of your power animal, put them on your fridge or next to your bed. You can read about the qualities of the actual animal out in nature and see what qualities resonate with you. Like my first power animal that came to me was the white wolf. And from her, I learned leadership. I learned, social connection and making sure everyone is fine. And also like tracking and finding sources of food, finding sources of my own medicine. So this is a way that you could work with your spirit guide, your power animal. You could open sacred space and call in the animal and just sit in meditation and invite that power animal to come and teach you. And just, talk to that animal, ask questions and be open to how the answer comes back to you. You might hear words, the animal might show you something, and just be open to how the power animal will begin to teach you and guide you. So this is a nice way to nurture that relationship. Let's see. Yeah, there's a couple of questions around soul retrieval, and someone else also asked if we can extract intrusive energies ourselves. So it's best to work with a trained shaman to do an extraction, because most of the time people are not really aware that they have like an intrusive energy in their field. And if you become aware, that's a good step. And then you decide, okay, I want to let go of that energy, and but you need the help of a trained shaman to do that. In the training, you will learn it, you will experience it and practice it with fellow students. But if you now feel that there's some intrusive energy going on, I suggest you check out the Four Winds website. We have a directory of practitioners there, and they can hold sacred space for you. Same goes for the soul retrieval. Like when the soul part splits off, like and hides for to be safe, it does this for a good reason, because some trauma happened, whatever that was, and we might have a feeling of not being complete, but we cannot do our own soul retrieval. That's not possible. If it were possible, we would just go there and bring all the pieces back. But again, here with the soul retrieval, you can journey, of course, to the lower world and have a look around. But the deep healing work, I also suggest that you work with a trained shaman to help you get that soul piece back, and also guide you through the integration process and hold that sacred space for you, so that you're really prepared and ready to welcome that soul part back to your field and integrate it into your life. So let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, there's a couple of questions specifically about the online training. Yeah, how can true community be built? And I hope you had this experience today. We're here, a couple of hundred people. We opened sacred space. We sat around the fire. We did the ceremony, and whatever showed up for you, whatever happened for you, happened in this container with hundreds and hundreds of people from all over the world. And in our online training programs, we have community happen in the live calls, and also in this other platform where you would reach out directly to each other. And of course, sometimes we have people just living who are next door neighbors or lives down the street or not too far away, and you could, meet in person to practice with each other. And on a regular basis, we offer what we call the Light Body School Review, which is an in-person event where a lead teacher of the Four Winds will go through what you've learned in the online training or the residential training, as a matter of fact, that we also offer. This is where you can have the hands-on, the personal experience. But, just be open. It can be done. And the shamans of old, they have been doing work over distance all the time. They just didn't have the technology that we use today to connect. And the sense of feeling connected and also the shifts, they happen within each and every one who is in the training. This is not an energy that is sent over Zoom or something. It happens within each and every one of us. And we need to be open. Our hearts are open. We open sacred space, and then we feel this connection. That's why we do a lot of ceremony, and you will be guided in many different ways to feel that connection and that this communion. And everyone is invited to reach out to others and not just wait and sit until you are seen. Show yourself, show your light, and the connection will happen. The time zone, important question. So our upcoming training, September 1st, weekly live calls will be every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for Europe, Central European time zone, this would be 7 p.m. in the evenings. For the West Coast, I believe this will be 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that. But the reference time is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the upcoming online energy medicine training. 6 months program, you get lifetime access to the material, and you get 1 hour of coaching after you have completed the training. And in order to get your certificate as a practitioner in energy medicine, we ask that students submit a couple of case studies, and your academic advisor, if you do your free consultation call, they can speak more about that. But that's how we give feedback. You're invited to practice with others, then write up a case study, submit them, and we have a look, give a little bit of a feedback. And once you've completed the 9 case studies and fulfilled all the other requirements, then you will receive your certificate. Let's see, any more questions that we should address? Oh yeah, so someone is asking about the Viracocha, and the Viracocha is actually our eighth energy center that's hovering above our head, which is still inside our energy field, but outside of our physical body. And you can reach up, open it, enveloping yourself in a bubble of luminous golden strands of light all around you. And you can also close it again by reaching down and grabbing the folds, bringing it back up. And you would open your Viracocha when you do, let's say, meditation work or go into ceremony. And as long as you're in this focused meditation or in this focused task that you're doing, your Viracocha will stay open. But it will not stay open forever. So it will collapse and close itself after a while. So it's always nice to step into infinity, because that's what we are doing when we open our Viracocha. We step into infinity, a bubble of timelessness that manifests in time. So it's important after, you did your ceremony or your meditation or whatever reason you open your Viracocha for, to step outside of infinity again into linear time. And that's why we close our Viracocha once we are done with whatever we were doing. Yeah, let's see, any more questions? Something I want to add, because there's a couple of questions around symptoms and diseases and things that you might have diagnosed. So as shamans, we work not with the symptoms, we work to create the conditions for health. And as part of the program, and Alberto spoke about that already earlier today, one of our modules is called the Neuroscience of Enlightenment, where you learn like the science behind what we do, you know, what the shamans of old did quite naturally because they were so deeply connected. Now we can bring it to the scientific level. So you will have a module called Neuroscience of Enlightenment. And we will also give you all the information about the Grow a New Body program that Alberto has developed in the book that has the same title, Grow a New Body. And this is actually bringing together what Alberto earlier spoke about, how we can change the genetics through the energetics. So you will get all the information to bring those two pieces together, how we can help our body to go into the self-healing modalities that the intelligence of our body just has, and we can switch on the genes that will create health. And that might, of course, shift the way it shows in your body, in your psyche, in your spirit. When we support this with the energy work. So this is how we bring it together in the training. And this is where you will learn all about the Grow a New Body piece and how to become this Homo luminous that Alberto spoke about. All right, so thank you for joining today. And again, if you feel called to learn more about our training program, we invite you to set up a free academic consultation by going to this website and booking your slot with one of my colleagues or myself. And there we can go deeper, answer more of your questions. And also we want to learn what was your spark, what brought you here. And this might be something nice to explore for you, maybe with the support of your power animal, to look for that whispering voice, the voice of your soul, the voice of your spirit, inviting you to step into your becoming a modern day shaman. So I invite you all to join me in closing Sacred Space. Alberto did a beautiful opening today, and let's release the 4 directions and the archetypes with deep gratitude. To the winds of the south, great serpent, wrap your coils of light around us. Thank you for showing up today, for teaching us how to shed our past the way you shed your skin. Thank you for teaching us the beauty way and for walking softly on the earth, belly to belly with the Great Mother. Aho! To the winds of the west, Mother, Sister, Jaguar, thank you for protecting our medicine space today, for showing up today and for teaching us to walk and journey between the worlds, for teaching us the way of peace and to be impeccable in this work, in this life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mother. Aho! Into the winds of the north, Siva Kenti, Royal Hummingbird, thank you for showing up today, for teaching us to embark on our own epic journey, for teaching us how to drink only from the sweetest of nectar, for having the courage to fly without knowing, but still knowing that we are called. And thank you to our ancestors, the luminous ones, the medicine men and women that came before us, for showing up today, for sitting around us, around the sacred fire, for holding our place at this fire and for whispering us in the wind. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up. Aho! To the winds of the east, great eagle condor, thank you for taking us under your wings, for taking us high to connect us with the holy mountains and for broadening our vision to get the full picture, to see the curvature of the earth, but also the little details of our life with sharp sight, with clear eyes. Thank you for showing us how to fly wing to wing with the Great Spirit. Aho! Thank you, Pachamama, Mother Earth. Thank you for nurturing us, for carrying us, for loving us unconditionally. Thank you, Mother, for healing all of your children, the plant people, the stone people, the four-legged, the two-legged, the winged, the fur, the fin, the creepy crawlers, the microbes, and all our relations. Thank you, Mother. Oh. Father, Son, Grandmother Moon, to the star nations, and Great Spirit, thank you. Thank you for shining our light on us, for reminding us that we're luminous beings in a physical body, in an experience on planet Earth. And thank you, Great Spirit, you who have 1,000 names, but yet you remain the unnameable one. Thank you for allowing us to sing the song of life together one more day. Aho. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for staying with us. Again, book your free consultation call today. We'd be happy to welcoming you in one of our upcoming training programs. Next one, September 1st, and the early bird special is still good until August 8th. So go ahead and sign up, follow your calling, and hope to see you soon. Wishing you a blessed remaining day. And after I sign off, we will be playing a testimonial video of some of our teachers and also students who went through the training. So if you want to join us, you're welcome to stay and to get some more voices and some more experiences of our graduates. Thank you for showing up. Much love. Aho.
My name is Martha Abbott, and I live on Martha's Vineyard Island. I do teach yoga, and I also am a teacher at the Four Winds, so I teach the energy medicine training. I took my first training with the Four Winds in 2007 through serendipitous events. Someone said that they were taking this energy medicine training, someone that I was teaching with at a weekend workshop. And she said, you know, I think you should look into that. I took the course, I met Alberto. As it turned out, it was the most effective work that I had ever done for helping people shift things. Where before I was working with the physical body, but through movement, but working with the energy body, it was like you could affect change much more effectively and quickly. So it's like, wow. I've just stepped into what completes the picture for me as far as helping people to heal. There's something about the community, and we call it IU, the tribe, that happens in this work that is so filled with love that it truly holds you, and it's immediate. It happens so fast. The other thing is that when you step into this beautiful energy of yourself as a luminous being and really accessing that part of yourself that is divine, your soul has the space to be heard. Its longing is heard, and its longing is fulfilled because you're finally listening. So with the online training, it works just as well as if we were doing this in person. We have a way of people getting in touch with each other all the time during the course of the training. So they get connected right away, and then they work in smaller groups together in the live classes. And it's a longer period of time, so you really have time to integrate the work that you're doing. I would highly encourage those people that want to do this and yet can't step away from their life in order to take like a month or 2 weeks to do the in-person training. It is the most effective way of getting to those things that hold one back from having the most beautiful destiny, the most beautiful celebration of their particular gifts in this lifetime. When you get the calling, then you're the one that's supposed to take this. And yes, there may be doubt, there may be that sense of both excitement but trepidation at the same time. When you get that calling, just say yes.
My name is Andrea Vergara Silva, and I am a physician from Colombia. I was very drawn first to Alberto by a video that I saw where he was describing his process of realizing some things in his life that impacted the way he interacted with reality very much. And I thought that was a very powerful video. And then there was something called the Earthkeeper Summit, where I saw Marcela doing the rite of the womb. And so I decided to look them up, and then I put the two together and I thought, oh, wow, what a couple, how interesting. And so I did the Munaiki rites, and I just fell in love with this. I think it's powerful, it's beautiful, profound, life-changing. For me as a scientist, I really like the fact that Alberto is extremely knowledgeable in his art, in the shamanic arts, but also he is very knowledgeable in neuroscience, for example, and in neurobiology, and he integrates the two knowledges very, very well. And what I think is incredible about this approach to the human experience is that it fosters health and healing rather than focusing on the diagnosis. And it takes into account several dimensions of the human being, including the spiritual, energetic, psychological. I am a shaman and a healer, and I'm absolutely empowered by what we learn here, which is the medicine wheel, and together an understanding of how several of the archetypes from the Karo tradition are incorporated into my life, and how they represent different levels of how we view life, and how we can use those different levels to get different perspectives of our reality. It's one of the, if not the best, one of the best experiences I've ever had as a physician, as a human being, as a scientist, and as a spirit. It really goes deep into the essence of who you are.
My name is Gilbert Martina. I'm from the island of Curacao that lies in the Caribbean in front of the coast of Venezuela. My background is chemical engineering, but I have worked in the chemical industry for a short bit. Since 2007, I have been involved with the transition from the old hospital to the new hospital. And since July of this year, I've been appointed as the CEO of the new hospital of Curacao. Someone in Curacao told me about Alberto. He was reading his books, and he also like a shaman. So then I started reading about Alberto Villoldo and his book. So I came here, I did a program, and for me it was a life-changing program. What excites me is the being in contact, like we say, the middle world, the world we're living right now, is in contact with the spiritual world. And there is a very nice saying that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we are spiritual beings immersed in a human life. So that's what attracts me, how to be in contact with spirit, with great spirit, and the universe, God, however you will call it, and receiving the messages and co-create beauty for this world, right here and right now. It was in February 2020 when we started the extraction. We are sitting in class. They distributed the papelitos, and a lady from Peru, Monica, got the paper to be the one that Marcela is going to demonstrate the extraction on. That lady, because I've been talking to her, and she is from Peru, never has spoken English in her life. And as soon as they were starting to heat up her energy field, she starts speaking English with a very heavy voice, man. Leave me alone. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here. And Marcela with the crystal talking to the entity, because she has an entity. No, this is not your home. We have to leave. We have a better home for you here. And as soon as Marcela extracted the entity, she fell down completely out of order. And she was telling after that years before, since her 18 years, she always had pain at night, pain in her legs, could not sleep well. And as of from that day, they did the extraction, took out that entity, she slept like a baby. So for her, it was like a miracle has happened, never knowing that she had an entity in her energy field. So that was for me like, wow, very intense and very beautiful to see how simple it is, but how powerful it is to bring healing to the human life. The practices I've been applying them in my personal life since 2007, and the techniques for healing I've been practicing them since last year. Primarily, I'm offering to friends and family because due to my daily work and full-time job. But I do like to speak about, I call it the therapy of love, where I work in the hospital, because I truly believe that love is the medicine that solves and heals every disease. So, and that's the energy medicine all about. It's an honor to be here and to be able to learn all about the knowledge and the ancient techniques, and to take that into my daily life and use those techniques to heal.
Hello, my name is Christina Maria Fort Garces, and I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I am a creative arts therapist as well as a Gestalt and somatic psychotherapist. I did a coaching training, and we had a requirement to see a coach, and the coach that I went to see had graduated from the Four Winds and incorporated a lot of this material into her coaching. And it felt for me the missing element. I read about the Four Winds and I was like, this is it. This is what I'm missing. It blends, embodiment and even therapeutic practices. Also, it has the element of the communion with spirit and Pachamama. So what feels unique about it is that it feels like it's the whole package here. The discomfort that you can encounter in this training is absolutely incredible and necessary. If you are needing to shift something or step into something, I really feel that this training helps propel you through that fear or whatever that block is, but be ready to get down and dirty, but in such a beautiful, transformative way.
So my name is Doru. I live in Romania, a beautiful country in Eastern Europe. 3 years ago, someone asked me a question: what would I do if all resources will be available for me? So basically, if money would not be a problem, what I will do? I panicked because I didn't know the answer back then. A while afterwards, my daughter came. She was born with a heart condition, which was quite serious. She needed surgery 1 week after the birth. We went through quite an adventure, but everything changed for me. When I came back into my reality from back then, I just couldn't just go back to business as usual. Something shifted, something changed, and I knew that I have to find the answer to that question, that previous question, which basically meant who I am, and what I want to do. I decided to quit my job and do everything I can to find that answer. People came into my life, many teachers. Spirituality became the new normal for me. I learned a lot. I started to do meditations daily, which brought me closer and closer to myself. I felt better and better, but still something was missing. The angels from the internet brought me the Grow New Body book of Alberto. I read the book and I said, wow, that's right. I decided to do the program from the book immediately. I did the program. I felt very, very well. I liked his approach, his way of teaching and of explaining things. And I looked immediately on the website for more information from Alberto. I found details about the residential program. And in 2 days, I decided that this is right for me. It felt like the missing puzzle piece. But what happened here in the past month exceeded all my expectations, and more than that, it exceeded my imagination of what I thought it is possible. How I would describe it? I died here. I died from a life of fear, of insecurity, of anxiety, and I got reborn into a new life as a divine being having a human experience. Now I feel empowered. I have my answer of who I am. Now it feels for me that my meaningful life is just beginning. My purpose was also found here, which is to bring balance to me and to the world. And how it came to me one of these days is just through, with the light flowing through me, I create magic and spread it to the world. This is not just a program, this is not just a training, this is a rebirth. And it doesn't matter if it's through a screen or on the phone, it doesn't matter. The intention is there, the energy is there. I see here as a heaven where all of us were pulled into and attracted to this heaven to heal ourselves and to be reborn in those times when Pachamama, our Mother Earth, needs us the most, and find our gifts and bring the gifts into the world.
My name is Pia. I come from Slovenia. The last 15 years I live in Germany. I find something was missing in my work because I was studying and learning the systemic psychotherapy, which didn't help me in some cases. So I came to energetic field, this working with energy, and starting to study the books of Alberto, watching the videos, and this was like for me a new opening, and I saw great potential for my clients. Trying to understand everything, what happens in life, or trying to deal with the problems only with the mind was not enough, never for me personally, and also not helping people. It's like you try always to find the words, the meaning, the understanding, and the energy is like filled, our opportunities, are all these possibilities, which is sometimes like a story, and you have to feel it. There's actually no limits. So it's a possibility to go over the limits of our mind. This changed me personally, and of course, also for my job, it's a new field. It's the group dynamic. It's how we are here going intensively from morning till evening as family, which I felt really intense here. So we were like Aini, we were like, that's what we are teaching. And I would like to continue this. That's why we are keeping this group also active. After we finish the training, we will be connected and we can help ourselves to put this medicine in the world more effective if we are like a group. I'm now a different person and a different healer.